Woodstock has become a buzzword north of Atlanta, but it's not the right fit for everyone, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack today so you don't have to make the expensive mistake. If you're scrolling through video trying to figure out where in the world you should land north of Atlanta, we've got Canton, Woodstock, Roswell, and Alpharetta, and Woodstock keeps popping up as the spot. Make sure you pause right here. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the real pros and the real you need to know this before you move to Woodstock, Georgia, so you can figure out if it fits your lifestyle, not just what looks cute on the gram. I'm Jacquee Hart with Hart Realty Partners, and if you want help sorting through the Woodstock and the North Metro cities, you can call or text me. My name and my number and email are right here on the screen, whatever is easiest for you, and that's how we'll start. So let's start the stage before we start handing out pros and cons. Woodstock is a suburban city north of Atlanta along I-575 with a walkable downtown core, a lot of established and newer neighborhoods, and easy access to parks and outdoor recreation. It's big enough to have its own identity, but small enough that you still see familiar faces at the farmers market or downtown events. Picture this, a real downtown area with restaurants, patios, live music, and local shops. Subdivisions and swim and tennis neighborhoods that feel like classic suburbia. Trail systems and nearby lake access for people who actually use the outdoors, not just look at it in photos. With that in mind, let's talk about the good stuff first. One of the biggest reasons Woodstock stands out is its downtown district. You're not just getting a couple of restaurants and a coffee shop, you're getting multiple restaurants and patios, coffee shops where people actually work and hang out, local retail and boutiques, live music and event nights, farmers markets, and seasonal events. Sounds pretty awesome, right? Well, because it is. For a lot of people, this becomes a hangout space for the community. You might work from home all day, then head downtown for dinner, or spend Saturday morning at the farmers market, grab some coffee, and walk the area. If you're coming from a suburb that has no real center, this is a huge lifestyle upgrade. If you're coming from a big city, this gives you a taste of that social energy without the full downtown Atlanta intensity. The second big pro is how easy it is to plug into the outdoors. You've got the trail systems and parks where you can walk, run, bike without driving an hour. You also have a short drive to lake access, which means boating days, kayaking, paddleboarding, and not to mention fishing. Just being near the water when that Georgia heat kicks in. So if your ideal weekend is coffee, trails, brunch, and then maybe a lake afternoon, Woodstock makes that pretty doable without a ton of planning. And all of this is layered on top of the practical stuff like grocery stores and gyms, everyday shopping, and local spots that make it feel like a complete place, not like a small community where you have to leave every time you want to do something fun. Here's the next pro. You're not locked into just one kind of neighborhood. In Woodstock, you'll see established subdivisions with maturing trees and more traditional layouts. We've also got townhomes and a denser option closer to the downtown core. Newer construction neighborhoods with a modern floor plan and amenities. Some pockets with larger lots that feel more private. Now, pricing absolutely varies by size, age, and location, but the key is choice. If you want closer in, walkable, small yard living, there's a lane for that. If you want a more classic cul-de-sac, kids on bikes neighborhood pool vibe, you can find that too. And if you're trying to make sense of which pockets of Woodstock line up with your budget and lifestyle, this is where talking it through can save you a ton of time. My name is Jacquee Hart, and I'm a local real estate agent living in the North Georgia area. You can always call me or text me. My info is right here on the screen. You just tell me what you're picturing and we can narrow it down together. Here is another plus, community events and connectivity. Woodstock leans into concerts and season festivals, holiday events, farmers markets. These aren't just, nice to have. This is what makes it easier to plug in and meet people and feel like you actually live in a community instead of just near one. And from a practical standpoint, you're along a main highway corridor, which means connectivity to the north and the south for work, easier access to parts of North Metro Atlanta. So if you're not fully remote, you're not completely isolated either. Now let's talk about the other side of the coin, because no city is all upside. First, the traffic. Like a lot of growing North Metro Atlanta cities, you're gonna feel it during those peak times. You'll notice this along the interstate, on main surface roads, and everyone uses to get in and out. Nearby commercial busy corridors during rush hour or weekends. And if your job requires you to be on the road right in the middle of those peak windows, you want to factor that into your quality of life. I would recommend you test drive it if you can, or at least look at the realistic travel times, not just what the map says on a Tuesday at like 11 a.m. Second, continued growth. Woodstock is still growing, which means new neighborhoods, new commercial projects, road work and improvements, construction in certain areas. Some people love watching a place grow and evolve. Others want something that feels more finished and established and rarely changes. You'll want to be honest about which type you are. Next, let's touch on rising property values and the suburban layout. Like many North Metro cities, Woodstock has seen home prices trend up over the last several years. That can show up as competitive inventory in certain price points, premiums for new construction or amenity-heavy neighborhoods, HOA communities being a very common in some areas. That doesn't mean it's a bad choice, it just means you want to think about the total cost, not just the purchase price. We're talking taxes, HOA dues, commute costs, and utilities are all a part of that picture. Then there's the structure of the city itself. It's suburban. That means you're driving for most of your daily errands. Public transportation is limited. Walkability really depends on where you live. Close to downtown, you'll have more, but farther out, you're gonna be car dependent. If you're coming from a dense transit heavy city and you hate driving, that's something to really sit with. On the flip side, if you're over the city congestion and you want more space and a car-centric lifestyle, the same setup might feel like a big improvement. So who ends up usually happy in Woodstock? In general, Woodstock tends to fit people who want suburban living north of Atlanta with a real downtown that they can actually enjoy. They want access to parks and trails and outdoor recreation without living in the middle of nowhere. A mix of housing options instead of a one-note community. Enough activity like events and festivals and local spots that it feels like a living, breathing city, not just rooftops and parking lots. If you want very dense urban living with heavy public transit, or you want extremely rural, ultra low density land, Woodstock probably isn't going to feel like that perfect match. In those cases, it's usually worth comparing it to other nearby cities or farther out areas. And if you're in that comparison stage, do I want Woodstock or Canton, Alpharetta or Roswell or something else entirely? This is where the conversation can save you a ton of guessing. We'll talk through your lifestyle, your commute, and your budget and figure out where you should actually be looking. So those are the real pros and considerations of living in Woodstock, Georgia. Every city has its trade-offs. The right one for you comes down to your lifestyle and your commute patterns and what you want your actual day-to-day life to look like, not just what looks pretty online. If Woodstock is on your radar, just reach out. I'm Jacquee Hart, a local real estate agent who loves living in the North Metro area, and you can call or text me. My number is right here on the screen, or shoot me an email. Whatever is easiest for you, that's how we'll start. We'll walk through your situation and figure out whether Woodstock is really your spot or whether another city is going to serve you better. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you on the next video.